Yes, welcome everybody to What's Going On, the weekly roundup, roundtable show that's all about everything. A little bit of pop culture, a little bit of news, a little bit of personal stories. It's just me inviting some of my favorite people onto the show just to chat about life and about all the things. What's going on, everybody in the chat, everybody watching us at home, whether you're watching us on your computer or your phone or on your television, whatever it is. We love it. Feel free to throw everything in the chat and say what's going on. If you see or something that you're like, oh, I got to talk about that, or if you think we're not talking about something, throw it in the chat. We'll involve you. We want you to be part of the show. Yeah, you make the show special. Right now, I'm going to bring in this week's esteemed guests and let them all introduce themselves once they're in. But let's bring them in one at a time. Everybody, please give it up for BJ. Give it up for
Ben.
Rachel. What's going on? Give it up for Sumeet.
Hey, what up?
Shiyan. Give it up for Alyssa. And give it up for James. And then, of course, popping in whenever he wants to, we have our boy Matt here. How are you, friend?
I'm doing great. Staying hydrated.
Yeah, Matt's going to be popping in and out. Matt's doing all the heavy lifting on the tech side, so we appreciate that. Let's go around and introduce ourselves and say welcome to everybody. BJ, introduce yourself. What do you do here at QMB?
Hey, my name's BJ Jeranyama. He, him. I'm the host of Whatever It Takes on the first and third Fridays right here on 2MB Studios. It's a comedy trivia game show where we have our contestants do crazy and weird challenges. So I'm happy to be here.
Love that. We'll definitely talk more about that as the night goes on, but thanks for being here. Sumeet, welcome.
Hey, thanks, Ben. Hey, everybody. My name is Sumeet, he, him as well. I host a show called Level Down with David Thomas and Ryan Daly on Friday nights. We play video games. And I'm a character on our RPG show on Saturdays, which is called Knights of Prospect. I play cleric on that show. Super fun. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. Friend of the channel, James Maloney. How you doing?
Good. How are you guys? I'm James Maloney, and I guess related to 2MB, I play a wrestler on QAW, Quarantine Action Wrestling, Boston's biggest bad boy, James Maloney, and that is on Thursday nights with the occasional pay-per-views on Saturdays or Sundays, depending on holidays and what we do for fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, anytime.
Shiyan, what's going on?
Hi, everyone. Shiyan, she, her, hers. I am on a show called Sleepover that is on Saturday nights. And every once in a while, you might catch me as Scobie, the queen of kombucha, on QAW as well.
I love that.
Is true.
I just love, every time somebody talks about QAW, it's my favorite just to hear the sentences that are associated with that. So it's really wonderful. Thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Alyssa, welcome to the show.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, our pleasure. Where can people find you? What's your social media? What's all that stuff?
Listen, all the stuff. I'm currently going viral on TikTok. I think. Well, you're gonna find out.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't believe in sharing personal stuff on the internet, which turns out they want. Turns out that's all they want. So I did it today, and it's working. So I'm the Dukeness. Catch me while I'm hot. Okay. Catch me while I'm hot. That's all I'm doing is getting personal on TikTok. And I was on a karaoke competition game show on Netflix. Episode 8 of Sing On. Watch me try to win $50,000.
Awesome.
The part of me is like, I want to know, but part of me is like, I don't want you to tell me I want to watch it. I'm going to watch it later.
Listen, I'm going to tell you I do really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, look at this room I'm in. I'm going to tell you those 2 things.
Is that room paid for by Netflix? That's a Netflix room?
Yeah. Whatever Netflix contributed to my life went into this. Look how small that pillow is.
That's Netflix money, pillow.
Oh, man. I can't wait to hear more about that. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
And last but certainly not least, Rachel, what's going on?
Hey guys, my name is Rachel J. Andelman. She's serious. Shiyan was like, she's hers, and I'm like, I'm gonna steal that. I am the host of The Joy of Posting, which is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where I write jokes for an hour, and you can watch me, and you can chat with me, and we can retweet each other, and that's a whole show. And I'm also one of the producers of TMB as a whole, so and I'm the social media director, so if you've heard about the show, it's a chance that you read a post that I wrote about it. Pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, no, Rachel Media always keeps Rachel Media, I just called you. I think it's your new nickname. No, Rachel always keeps our social media nice and spicy. It's great. I love it. Let's get into the show. It's super simple. We're just going to go around the circle, and we're all going to share something from the week. Something about either that we read that we thought was really interesting. Doesn't even need to be necessarily current, just something that it's current for you. Or it could be a story. It could be something that you're like, oh, I'd love to talk about this crazy thing that happened to me. Again, could be current, could be something from the past, whatever you want. We're just going to talk about all the things and look at the connections that begin to come through as we start sharing all these stories. So yeah, let's go in the order that we introduced ourselves in. BJ, share something with us.
Oh yeah. So I was thinking about the before times, right? Before the whole unpleasantness happened. And some weekends I would have to go with my wife to like different fairs and stuff because she works in community health, and they have like different booths up. And one of her coworkers had her daughter and her son in there, and they were working. So I was like, I'm gonna take the kids. We're gonna go and throw around the frisbee, hang out, and everything like that. And her youngest daughter is 3 years old, and she's a very rambunctious girl. She just wants to, live and do well. And
I feel like
we were throwing around the frisbee.
3-year-olds,
Carefree. Oh, I wish I had that.
3-year-old energy. Sorry, go on.
And she takes the frisbee and she runs towards me, and I'm like, "Hey, Delilah, what's up? You don't want to play frisbee anymore?" And she's like, "Yeah, BJ, I have a question for you." And I was like, "Delilah, sure, go ahead. What's up?" And she's like, "BJ, why are you so black?" And I'm just like, "Come on, Delilah, you can't say that." And so I just look at Delilah and go, "Delilah, why are you so white?" And she looks at me, she goes, "You got me." And she runs away.
Ooh, you got it good.
Yeah.
Delilah was trying to set you up.
There's so much about that that I love. Kids are so funny because there's no filter on kids at all. They just say like the first thing that comes to their head, and sometimes it's like super cringe-inducing, but also it's there's something like there's no malice behind it the way there's usually malice behind it.
None whatsoever.
When people get older, and that automatically makes it. Does that make it okay? I think so. I don't know. You tell me. I don't know.
At what age does that malice sneak in? Or is the filter necessary and not fun that it's not there anymore?
12.
It's 12.
I was gonna say middle school is a hard time.
Now I'm just imagining like the Piaget childhood development, but it's like the childhood development of malice.
Yeah, like when does a child know that they can say something intentionally? I think it's a sliding scale. For sure.
Yeah, probably differs for each child.
Real young.
Do you remember? Does anybody here remember the first time they were mean and they recognized it for themselves? Like I'm doing something bad. I remember this for myself, so that's why I'm asking.
Like at the moment or retrospectively?
Maybe in the moment or like right away. Like you did it and you're like, probably shouldn't have done that.
I don't know if this is the first time, but one of my most memorable times was I once threw a doorknob at someone, and I was like way too old. I was 13.
That's the first time.
Yeah. I don't think teenagers should have doorknobs. I think that's really the issue that we need to talk about is how teenagers are getting doorknobs.
Yeah.
It was a
Well,
doorknob.
you just said you were getting. You just said you were going big on TikTok, and now you're going against the 13-year-old. No, I mean that's against your brand.
I never said I liked it. Okay.
So Rachel, what? So you threw a doorknob at somebody. I hesitate to ask this. I assume they didn't. It's not. They weren't attacking you. They weren't attacking somebody else. They weren't. That you just were angry and you had a doorknob.
So what happened is,
Yeah. The important questions. Did you
Okay,
rip off the door?
Yeah.
Just stand on the door.
I was at a party and we were like a bunch of girls and a bunch of guys at the party, and at some point all the girls had gone into the bathroom and the guys were like trying to yank the door open because they were just like chasing us around. And I'm like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'm gonna like throw the doorknob came off in my hand. I'm like, oh, I'll know what I'll do. It's like I'll throw it and it'll be like a grenade where it'll all like spatter.
That's what I do when a doorknob's coming at me. I find cover.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll throw it it'll like fall on the ground, and they'll just like run off in their different directions. And I actually got the kid in like the eyebrow. Like I could have fucking blinded him.
Oh
and
no.
I was like, wow, I don't think ahead.
Could you imagine that kid having to tell the story of how he got blinded?
No, Rachel just
Faced with
admitted to a crime.
Yeah.
It was real close.
Oh boy.
God was like, not yet. You're gonna fuck up later.
He lost his eye later,
Yeah.
but not then.
Oh man.
Not then. He just had brushes with it throughout his life.
The thing that took his eye was a doorstop.
Anybody else remember when they were mean?
I was mean to my sister a lot. And I definitely like remember punching her in the mouth and being like, I'm just glad I get to play alone. That was definitely like it was on purpose, and I was like, I just need a second. I just need a 5, you know.
You put
I would
yourself
also like
Older or younger.
I'm the
Yeah.
oldest.
What's the age gap?
3 years. It was bliss, apparently. Apparently, it was the best years of my life without her. But I would play like cops and robbers. I'd be like, all right, I'm gonna tie you up because you're the bad guy. And she was like, all right, cool. And I would just leave. And I would just, be like, all right, get a second alone. I was just, I wasn't built to have siblings.
It's what you need to do sometimes. I was the younger sibling, so I totally get that. I was a monster. So don't feel bad for your sister. She was a monster too. I assure you. I assure you. I used
She
to
deserved
bug
it.
her. Yeah, she definitely
As an
deserved
elder
it.
sibling, I fully support your actions.
I feel so validated. I'm going to
Wow.
cancel therapy.
Should I have been meaner to my younger siblings?
Yes.
Probably. But
Probably.
You're a better person than we are.
We didn't really fight like that. I'm
No.
trying to think about it. but-
Matt like organized the tiles so that like the nicest people are like over here, and then like we can just do like
It's just the trash people are over in the corner. My family definitely was a word fighting family more than like we were just mean to each other verbally more than physically. Like my family, my sisters and I were just we would be very mean to each other, just say mean things to each other. And definitely I knew what I was doing for sure.
I think there was a time in elementary school where someone had a crush on me, and I like children, man. Like I perceived the way the social standings worked, and I was like, this person cannot have a crush on me because whatever my social standing is, it's not high, and it's just going to make it lower. And I was like aware of that, and so I was like, no, don't like me, please. I was very like rude about it, and then I went to a Catholic school. So someone came to talk to us about how there people were being mean to this boy and how we shouldn't be mean to him, that, like he's having like all of these things that are reasons for you not to be mean to him. And then all the girls that I had like crappy social standing with were like looking at me like, you were me. And I'm like, so at the end of the day, still didn't even work. My social standing was trash. And I felt really bad because it's like, great, now I'm being called out, especially for being like a super terrible person. which
Did
is
you
not
like the
something-
kid otherwise? Like in a vacuum, would you have?
I don't know. I
couldn't
think,
even-
I mean, you're talking to someone who was very anti-love. I hated feelings. Whenever Barry White would come out, I would be like viscerally irritated. Like, get this deep voice guy away from me. I don't want to hear it. Like, I was very, I didn't
I'm
like
feeling
it.
feelings. Stop.
I don't want these feelings. I don't know. That's probably what it was. That's probably like, this is a nice voice and I don't want to feel happiness. So I'm going to just reject it. But I like him now. He sounds great.
Right.
I do. I feel like that's a recurring theme for comedians that I know. It's like, well, I thought that was going to be a nice thing, so I said no. You know.
Well, I rejected music growing up in elementary school. I remember in elementary school, like kids got into a fight because one person said they liked a band, and then someone else was like, "That band's stupid," and they got in like a fight, and they were friends. And I was like, "Well, if that's what music's about, yeah, I'm not going to bother listening to music." So
like,
it took
I'm
me
gonna write
forever
the
to
whole
actually
thing
get
off.
into music because I thought people just fought about it, and I was like, "Yeah."
Oh.
No,
I love
not
that you
for
just
me.
created beef with music instead of creating beef with people. You were just like, this can't
Yeah.
happen.
You're like, I
You
don't want
should've
anything
listened.
that makes people fight.
I didn't know anything really about music, so I was like, guess I don't need to find bands. I'll just listen to it when it's on the radio. Whoever puts it on,
You should have
that's what I
just
like.
had. You should have just had beef with Green Day. All right, not all of you, just Billy Joe Armstrong.
James, you should have lived in the town from Footloose. It would have been perfect.
No,
Oh my
I'm just
gosh.
saying he had a point. Everybody makes him out to be the bad guy. Who's this new kid coming to town wanting everybody to dance? Dancing's fun. It's when they dance to music.
True story. True
He's
story.
John Lithgow had a point.
I do like the idea of there being a guy who's not the villain, but he's like the person who like translates the villain's point of view into something more reasonable. He's like, listen, guys, Dan's like, I know he's easy to hate, but here is his reasoning laid out, and I think you'll find this actually quite sympathetic once you kind of like you can
like an apologist.
exactly.
Fantastic. I love it. What a great way to start. Before we move on, James, we spoke about this a little bit in the private chat, but people are loving your green screen, which is moving, like a peacock. We called it like a peacock.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel like it really
It attaches
works
to the back
that
of
way.
my chair. Yeah, my
That's
brother got it
cool.
for me for my birthday back in July. Wish it was a little bit bigger, but I don't like have enough room in my bedroom for an actual like big green screen. So
Yeah.
it's like, hey,
It's a very cool thing. Plumage. Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
about the plumage
Yes.
for sure.
I'm buying one right now.
There you go. I hope we're getting a cut of that.
it all folds in.
Gives that Bezos money.
Yeah.
Every time a product is mentioned on our show that somebody buys on Amazon, we get like a penny.
Really?
No, I wish that were true. That's not true at all.
It's true for Alibaba.
Yeah,
Yeah.
In the discount code, put TMB.
we don't get money. We get Bezos bucks, which we can like trade in for stuff. It's like,
You know how many times I've mentioned Flamin' Hot Cheetos on 2MB shows? We'd be making bank just from that.
Oh.
people love flaming hot Cheetos.
More importantly, they love ordering them on Amazon.
There's nothing like wanting flaming hot Cheetos in about 24 hours. Not right now. Just in a little bit.
They've got the button.
They sell them by the 36 bag. It's pretty great.
36
Highly recommend.
bags.
Yeah.
How long will that last you? 36 bags of Flaming Hot Cheetos.
A month and a half.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect.
It's pretty good.
Use
Big
discount
bag
It's a
of
lot.
couple
It's kind of a lot.
Yeah, 1,000 Bezos bucks.
Oh, that's
Yeah, you gotta-
makes
yeah.
me sad.
I gotta save them up. You gotta save them up. Awesome. Sumeet, share a story with us, my friend.
Yeah, I was reading this funny story today. So there was a lawyer from a few years ago from Florida. His name is Gutierrez. And he was in the news because he was defending a guy who had been accused of setting his car on fire for insurance money. And while this lawyer was defending him, in the middle of his defense, the courtroom started billowing with smoke, and his pants caught on fire. They exploded. And so he ran out. The courtroom was on fire. They had to put it out. He ended up losing the case. He ended up being disbarred. As it turns out, he had a e-cigarette in his pocket that he had rigged to explode to make it look like it was spontaneous combustion. So his defense was that the car had experienced spontaneous combustion. The guy hadn't set it on fire. It had spontaneously exploded, and so he should get insurance money. So he set it up so his pants would catch on fire as an example of spontaneous combustion.
Liar.
As it turned out, that was not the case, and he was disbarred. This was a few years ago. And so he was arrested yesterday.
I love that that's the background story. That's just the background for the story.
That's the setup.
Unfortunately, that's the better part of the story. But yesterday he was arrested for cocaine possession. So he had a taillight out. The cop stopped him, and the cop noticed that he had a container in his pocket. So he asked him to pull it out. He pulled it out. The cop took it and opened it, and a white bag with white powder fell out. And then the guy was like, "Hey, that's my cocaine." And then he got arrested.
Wowzers.
Yeah.
I mean, on one hand, I think it's because after the courtroom, he was like, "I'm never gonna lie again."
Right.
That's my cocaine.
lesson. Yeah.
He was cursed. He has to tell the truth at all
Yeah.
times.
Was he Jim Carrey from Liar Liar?
Yeah. Was it just that dude?
Did you say what state this was from?
This is Florida.
Oh,
Yep.
sounds right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
I saw Palm
Florida
Trees
man.
when we were playing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was the defendant in on it? Do you think? Do you think the lawyer was like, you know what I'm going to do for my client? I'm going to rig this thing up.
Yeah. I feel like he took the defendant's money and he's like, you know what? I'll take care of it. Don't even worry about it. The jury's going to buy this 1,000%. You don't need to know. Just let me do my thing.
I
And then
just watched
imagine,
Franklin and Bash, and I got an idea.
Yeah.
And then imagine that guy watching the thing and being like,
Right.
"True."
Yeah. That's what happened to me.
You know, I've always wondered what happens to the lawyers who become lawyers because they love Agatha Christie. You know what I mean? They're like, I'm going to be Hercule Poirot. And he just sets his pants on fire.
They'll never know.
Again, there's probably a scale, right? Like nobody says, "I want to be the lawyer who sets his pants on fire" when they come in. That's
Right.
a gradual slide. I
Get
would
there
think.
over time. Yeah.
In Florida.
He was
That's
probably
true.
so excited about that too. He's like, "This is gonna crush. I'm gonna solve this
Yeah.
case." He couldn't sleep the night before. He's like, "This is gonna go so well."
And like the minute he felt the heat too, he was like, "It's happening."
Oh no.
This wasn't supposed to go so high.
That's terrifying. He didn't get burns, did he? He
Yeah, which pocket?
They didn't talk about in the article. They didn't talk about where his burns were or anything. They just said that had
Okay,
happened.
so hopefully he didn't get burns.
It was an
And that's
e-cigarette
the
in his
prestige.
pocket though, so I imagine it's not that far from his junk.
In my
If it's a butt pocket.
Or that, yeah.
in my ridiculous mind, he was never caught and just subsequently argues cases at a higher level, but
Yeah.
keeps exploding until he's in front of the Supreme Court.
Right.
It's like a Rick and Morty
I have to
sketch.
engulf myself fully in flame. This is the Supreme Court.
I like it.
My calling card.
He did a cover, like he doesn't even smoke, but like at the start of this trial, he started smoking so everybody be used to him having an e-cigarette.
Right.
He had to develop a character.
I like the idea of him dying, going to hell, and still trying this strategy. And everyone's like, "Of course, your pants are on fire. We're in the bowels of hell. Everything."
It's constant spontaneous combustion always. Forget about it.
So Tina mentioned this in the chat, but like I remember kind of like being a little like nervous about the concept of spontaneous combustion. Like I don't know what I watched. But
Spinal
there's
Tap.
some. I definitely
Yeah,
didn't watch
that's
that. I
right.
have not watched that movie. Is there spontaneous combustion in that movie?
The
Yeah.
one of
drummer,
the
right? One of the
drummers
drummers
dies.
dies.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
There's
yeah,
there's like a, I don't know, like pseudo documentary that I saw growing up that was about like people who had spontaneously combusted, and it was like,
I remember that.
how do you know if it'll happen? Like it was a little scary.
Mhm. I remember that and quicksand.
Quicksand. I thought I'd
Yes.
experience a lot more quicksand in life.
Yes.
Yeah, you made it seem rampant.
Yeah, I think it's all the video. Like I don't know, where did I first run into quicksand? I feel like it was in like a video game, but I don't know if that's true.
I feel like quicksand came up a lot. They used to have like these magazines like in the 40s and 50s of like gentleman adventures that were all like pulp comics or pulp novels of like guys like with a girl under their arm like Tarzaning it through a jungle. And so for me, I'm like, oh, of course they would run into quicksand because they were in like the specific conditions where scary things just had to happen to them in a jungle environment. So for me, like that makes sense within like the genre of like gentleman adventurers.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, I just set a trap for my neighbor, my friend next door. He was coming over, and to get to the backyard, there was a door you had to go through with a small path. So I dug a bunch of holes in there, and then I refilled them, thinking it would like make quicksand and it would do the thing, but really nothing just happened. I just refilled holes. But in my kid head, I was like, "Oh, it's gonna be so funny when he like starts sinking into the ground, the soft dirt."
That's so creative, though.
I remember practicing, and my mom was like, "You know what you do is you don't move," and I'm like, "All right, Mom, thanks." Like now I know.
Yeah, I remember reading somewhere that you try to spread yourself out as wide as possible.
Why do we all know?
Yeah.
We're all like,
Texas?
We're already.
I noticed about quicksand.
Maybe that's why there's no quicksand, because they were like, "Oh, they all know now." They're like,
As the resident African, I've seen quicksand everywhere. The road from Johannesburg to Cape Town, quicksand.
oh, quicksand.
You gotta
really?
swim through it.
Resident African?
Resident
Where are
African.
you from?
I am half Zimbabwean, half South African.
Okay.
I was
All
born in
right.
Harare, Zimbabwe.
All right. I'm Nigerian. I'm on
Hey.
both halves. Yeah.
Yo, we're right
Is
here.
this where we fight about jollof?
Well, we don't have that in Southern Africa,
Yes.
but I do love eating.
Fight over.
Africans
She's
love
talking-
to fight about it. They love
She's
it.
talking to me as if I'm Ghanaian. Like I'm
I
gonna be
know.
over here being like, yesterday I had quicksand in my mouth, and it was Nigerian jollof rice.
Oh, what a treat. We need to get Kwasi on here so we can just like yell at each other about jollof differences. But yeah, love a good fight about jollof apparently.
Shiyan, what's jollof? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think colloquially you call it party rice. It's a dish that is made in Nigeria and some other cultures. And I feel like every culture has like a thing that's like, this is like how we make like a kind of not dirty rice, but like you're making it with a lot of stuff mixed in. And so
Like a tomato.
the way we do it has like a tomato base and a lot of like vegetables and meats and stuff added, and it's delicious and spicy and great. And Nigerians feel like we made it first, and everyone else is copying us, and so everybody else is trash. And of course, every other person that makes it thinks the same thing, and so there are play fights all over the internet about people telling each other that the jollof rice is trash. It's much fun.
Saucy? Is it a saucy rice or is it dry rice?
Yeah, it's like fried rice, or is it more like a gumbo or a stew or something like that?
No, it's not a stew. It's made. You basically make like a pot of like this tomato-based like spiced stew, and then you add the rice to it, and so the moisture kind of boils away. So it's essentially like a red or orangish looking rice that's well flavored and a true delight. And now I've been craving Nigerian food all week, so thank you, me, for doing that to myself and making it so
Yeah, it's okay. Nigerian food's not as good as Zimbabwean or South African food.
all right.
Don't worry about it.
Whoa, that was too
there
far,
it is.
BJ.
Wow.
God.
There it is.
I had to do some breathing exercises. I think that
Here's where I come on and give a yellow card to BJ for unsportsmanlike conduct.
How many yellow cards until someone's kicked out?
Oh, that's too good. Yeah, I'm gonna say like I've had some food from other Nigerian countries, from other African countries, and it's really interesting like the similarities and the differences. I think the biggest similarity is that a lot of places use their hands to eat, and that might be the main similarity. But other than that, there's like similar sauces in certain places. And
What
I know
kind of
that.
seed did you say?
Say again.
What kind of seed?
I said
I'm
the
sorry.
similarities that a lot of places use their hands.
Oh, use their hands. I thought
Yeah.
to eat. I thought it was to hand seed or something. I didn't.
Yeah. No, just like, communal eating and you're just like, wash your hands and then get going. But I think I've had some Ethiopian food, which is like more bread. Like you're using breads to dip into stews and sauces as opposed to a kind of starchy mound of food, which is what Nigerians do. I don't know what your two halves eat like, BJ, but that's something I've seen.
Yeah, we have a starchy corn meal mix thing. Probably with sudza or pop.
Okay.
I was
Nice.
craving eating with my hands tonight. I actually had biryani for dinner, and I was like, I have to eat with my hands, and so I just needed to. I wasn't craving anything in particular. Well, biryani, of course, but it just tastes better. We say the finger
I was
spice
just
makes
gonna
it
ask you
extra
that.
Nice.
Something about
I'm
that cutlery.
You don't
I'm
need
a
it.
weirdo.
Just
I
sit
like
up.
the little shove, the shove.
Oh yeah.
Does anybody else
That's how
eat
you do
salad
it.
with their hands, or am I the only weirdo? I really like to eat
Like
salad.
dressing
Like,
and everything?
Sometimes I pick at it.
Chopsticks is the way to
or
eat
I
salad.
like that idea too, Alyssa. Yeah, chopsticks. I just don't
yeah.
like forking a salad. I never feel like I can get all of something on
Can
it.
we say that on the air?
Yeah, that sounds like
Forking a salad. I'll fork a
I
salad.
was like,
all
oh boy.
night.
Oh no. All right. I told my family to watch this show.
I feel like I would have been less anxious as a child if we just had hand foods, because if you're Jewish, you have to have two different sets of cutlery, and like you have to use the right cutlery for all your food, and you can't wash them together in the dishwasher. So I just got very like, paranoid all the time about whether I'm using the right cutlery or not. I don't know if anybody else ever.
My mom's side of the family is like that, which is crazy because the other side of my family eats with their fucking hands. I was like, what? Why can't I put what? Why can't I wash this here? What's wrong with you?
Because the meat fork and the dairy fork can't touch, and you're like, this is not a meat. This is a fork. It's not made. I get the meat and the dairy can't touch, but they're forks.
They're forks.
They're all the same.
Also, they can't touch, but if you eat them both, then they're gonna touch. Then they touch.
Well, you wouldn't eat like dairy and meat together. So you would look at your you like look at your meal. You're like, okay, this is a meat. You get your meat fork for the meat.
Are they at least color coded?
They're not different colors. They have like ornamentation on the handle if they're the
I can get behind ornamentation.
Any reason for ornamentation is a good
Absolutely.
thing. Yeah,
I like a nice fancy fork.
Yeah, we're all on the side. We're like, yeah, you can have separate forks if they look good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we drew the line right there. That works. I love it. We got from pants exploding to that. That's fantastic. Shiyan, share your story with us.
Cool. I will. I have a story about a movie, but before I do that, I'm just gonna set it out there for folks who want to Google it on their own. What has happened recently with the whole situation with Amy Cooper? If you don't remember, Google it, find out. So 3 years ago this week, Wikipedia is telling me, and IMDb, I think, they're telling me it was 3 years ago today, but my Google Calendar tells me it was 3 years ago yesterday, Black Panther came out. And the reason my Google Calendar is telling me this is because I gathered all the friends that were remotely interested to go to a very specific theater, and like we sold, like I bought the entire back row and was like, this like Venmo me for your seat, and I got all like dressed up, and it was a huge production. And then 2 days later I saw it again, and then a little bit after that I did a podcast about it. Like I was so ready and here for that movie, and it was like such a joy. And I saw that it was the anniversary today or this week, and I wanted to just bring that up.
Yeah, I love that. It's such a great movie. How did you feel about their decision to like not recast the character? Do you agree with that decision? I think it's I think it's a really cool decision, but I think it's also really rare. I think it really shows a respect for.
Yeah, I feel like they're in a really interesting position because it wasn't like enough time had passed that it would have felt like probably okay if they recast it. I'm very okay with them not recasting and just moving on in another way and honoring him in some other way. I think that's the nice thing to do, and I don't know that Hollywood is always nice, so it's cool to see.
Now, I don't know much about Black Panther the in the comic series, but have other people like been the Black Panther mantle and stuff like that? Like I know
in
most
the movies, you mean, or
no, in the comic series, like usually there's stuff. Like, was it like, oh, we're not going to recast him, so we're not going to use Black Panther at all?
Oh, I think it'll be like someone else will become the Black Panther.
Like pick up the mantle.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to have some ridiculous thing because, I don't know, spoiler alert, if somehow you haven't seen Black Panther in the past 3 years, I'm sorry, but you should have seen it.
Yeah, when you I think spoiler alerts after even a month are probably done.
Wait, I am personally offended if you haven't seen it. How dare you do that? But it's a big plot point in the movie that they burn the thing that makes it possible for people to become Black Panther. So truly, I cannot wait to see what they're going to pull out of the sky and how they're going to explain how there's a brand new Black Panther, because they're going to have to figure it out. But I'm sure it's going to be Endgame multi-universe related, since that's going to be a thing they can do now forever, right? So.
Yeah, not to nerd out too hard here, but I feel like the MCU, it's really funny because they're creating this thing with all these alternate universes and parallel universes and the multiverse, and I'm part of me is that's so cool and it's going to lead to so many really interesting stories, and then part of me is it's such a fucking cheat because you can do anything with almost zero repercussion, right? Because you're no, it's a different timeline, and you're it's such a easy plot point.
I feel like they absolutely could, but are you watching WandaVision?
Yes.
Yeah. So WandaVision, I think, kind of exists or lives in that kind of weird space where it's because we've done all this multiverse stuff, we can do this now. And I feel like they're doing it in a really interesting way. Mm-hmm. So hopefully they've learned the thing. So we're going to keep getting, average to great Marvel movies going forward, which is kind of exciting. Even if they give us oh, here's a Spider-Man, here's another one, doesn't matter, they're different. It's they can make as much money as they want from this.
I think it's pretty cool. I was saying to somebody I know, the Marvel universe, there's this whole argument right now, is this movies, and Scorsese just had a whole thing about how it's ruining cinema and blah 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 blah. But at the same time, maybe not every movie is a cinematic masterpiece, but it is such an amazing, the idea that you can make 18 movies that all stand on their own but also have this ridiculous arc through them is just a movie making thing that's never been done before. That's really kind of amazing. Rachel, I feel like you are disagreeing maybe.
I guess first of all, I think Marty, because we're friends, I think Marty is right. No one knew what I was talking about. Martin Scorsese was just movies are becoming, just content. And my feeling is that as somebody who's not, I've watched some Marvel movies, I'm okay, I'm not into them. They're fine, but I'm not invested in any of this. The Marvel discourse is so inescapable, and Disney is so inescapable. And it's and I just feel we're watching this mass homogenization of what had Spin Vibrant is becoming this just like big corporate pillowcase smothering the culture. I'm sure WandaVision is fine, but people will say like WandaVision's fun, and then then they're like, oh, were you having fun? Here's all this Marvel bullshit that we're gonna bring back to it. You were enjoying it because it was like a fun sitcom, but you always have to be brought back into the Marvel bullshit, like the way that Guardians of the Galaxy is a fun movie until they get brought back into the Marvel bullshit.
But can they not stand alone? Like, can you not enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy by itself without having seen any of the other movies?
Well, it's just like this feeling of dread, like, oh, these are fun characters, but then they're going to be like in this huge CGI battle that I don't care about, and they're going to do this like weird pandering thing where every female character who's ever been in the movie like all on screen together, and I was just to feel like empowered by that. Even though
I mean,
literally just killed like the only one who did anything. So like what the fuck? Like,
yeah, I mean, far be it for anyone to say that they're without fault. There's a lot of like messed up stuff in there, and stuff that's like pandering and just not good. There are whole Marvel movies that I have not seen as much as I stand for other ones. So I think, and yeah, there definitely is a movie coming out where Wanda is like a main character, and I think it's her and Doctor Strange, and it's about the multiverse. So it's like all the stuff we've seen, WandaVision, this new movie. So like, I'm sure they're hopefully setting it up for like, they're teeing it up for all of those reasons. So it's definitely what you're saying, Rachel.
Yeah, 100%. It's all. I mean, I guess one could argue for being super cynical, but that's just what's happening to the world in general, right? Like the corporations are just buying things up, and homogenization through 6 mega corporations is basically where we're headed.
And Ben, on that point, I just wanted to say something to my good friend Bob Iger. I love what you're doing with Disney over there. Disney Plus, it's incredible. You know what? You can even hire me for a job. Hey, Bob, forget Rachel. I'm your guy.
In 3 years.
We'll clip that, BJ, and send it to him. We'll clip that.
Oh, don't worry. I got his personal phone number. It's good.
Yeah,
The
make a
chairman of
TikTok
Disney?
about this.
Favorite thing people do on Twitter when Marvel fans are like, this shot's amazing, and they like post just like this greenish purplish blob, and you're just like, what am I even looking at? First of all, it's not a shot because it's like an animation. Second of all, it doesn't look like anything.
Well, that's why I love Tom Holland is my favorite of all the people, because first of all, he talks too much, and so they never tell him what he's filming anyway. They only give him like the pages that he's filming, and because you're right, he's basically in front of a green screen, like talking to like a Nerf ball. He'll say it. He's like, I have absolutely no idea what this movie is. Yeah. He's like, I jumped around, I spoke to a Nerf ball, and then I left. And then they
made Ian McKellen cry during the filming of The Hobbit because he's on a green screen. He's not talking to anyone. He's just like, what am I doing here? During the filming of The Hobbit because he was so alienated from the process. I think there's a lesson there.
And Peter Jackson was like, yes.
This is what makes a good Maiar.
I watch a lot of stuff about like graphic designers and the work that they are like trying to do, and it's the way that we would nerd out about like anything that we're super into. Like they can get like super into it. There's one called FX Reacts on YouTube where they just like dissect good and bad effects, and it's they'll talk about like what you're saying, Rachel, but with the exact opposite tone. It's like, oh, he was talking to a Nerf ball, and they're like so like excited about it. It's like blowing their mind because it's like it's so much easier to paint out this like golf ball on a stick than it is to paint out a whole person with like dots all over him. So it's really interesting.
I have acted to a sports ball before. It's not. But I mean, it is. It is if you're high. If you're high, it's great. But they don't like that.
They don't put little eyes on them. That's what I noticed in the clip.
We had various
you had little
expressions.
eyes. Okay.
We had some that were.
I feel like you would at minimum need little eyes.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Like if you were going to act in a movie where you're the twin of yourself, like if you were doing that, would you want another person who like is kind of your height, or would you want like a stick? with like a little ball with like eyes on it? That's
I'd
the
wanna stick
question.
with balls. I'd
For
wanna
me, it'd
stick
have
with
to be a
chat.
log.
Let
I'm
me
gonna go
know.
balls. Because my sister looks exactly like me. I wouldn't be able to act her. That would be,
Oh.
I would laugh. Not at the ball though. The ball's very serious.
Alyssa, what were you filming with a green screen character?
I did a commercial for data mining. Did a commercial for a company
Wow.
that does data mining, and the commercial was we data mine better than everybody else.
Whoa.
Don't you
Look
forget
at
it.
that data.
Don't you forget it.
Whoa.
And it looks funny. We don't look like we're looking at each other's eyes because coronavirus. We all had to film everything separate. And it's like, hey Steve, and it's like, hey Janet.
No, isn't the purpose of the balls to be in your eye line?
Yeah,
It was
so,
such a
so
small
I would like
stick.
stand next to a mic stand with a tennis ball on it, and they would be like, okay, so that's Alyssa's eyes. Now you talk to that tennis ball like it's Alyssa, and we're all just like, whoop. There's a couple that look good, but most of them are weird.
Who's in charge of the eye line tennis ball? Because that person needs to start talking to.
Yeah, who was it? I think it was the director. Maybe he was
Oh.
good, but maybe not with the balls.
Not for
you know?
long. Woof. Literally one job. Line up the eyeballs.
Set the
To
balls
the
up.
golf balls.
I think that would probably be one of the hardest jobs, though, right? Like making sure everything lines up if nothing's really there.
Okay. Continuity and eyesight or eye lines. I feel like if there isn't a person doing that, and Sumeet knows that I will get like on your case about continuity for like filming a project. So to think that someone had the foresight to say, yes, let's get a tennis ball, let's figure out the eyesight because we can't have people in close proximity. And then to mess that up, like why? And they had eyes on the golf balls,
They had eyes
which would make it
and
easier.
Well,
I'm just
Eyebrows
I can't.
too. Yeah.
Now, what if it wasn't the golf ball guy, the tennis ball
Tennis
guy that
ball.
messed up, but it was the cameraman doing a different camera angle?
I think
Would
it
that
may have
work?
been something like, I think it,
Well,
it
is that-
kind of
is that-
feels like
I feel
that.
like the way your eyes are tracked, like you can't fake
I'm
that,
trying to
right?
mental it in my head, and I don't know. It's just I'm trying to cut this poor kid a break who is working so tough. He doesn't
Are
want
we
to
being
put up
too
the
harsh?
tennis ball.
I'm
I'm the
gonna
harsh
need
auntie. That's
a ball
me.
of percentage. If you could tell us, or if somebody in here knows what the cool shop effect is, I assume it has something to do with what we're talking about, but I am not smart enough to know what that is.
I would love for someone to guess.
Is
So
it like the magic eye thing?
I'm wondering if is that the film rule, the 360. Like if you're shooting somebody this way, then like when you it has to you have to turn it's on the same plane.
Oh, the 180 degree
Yeah.
rule.
Is that the cool shop effect? I have no idea.
The Kuleshov effect is a film editing montage effect demonstrated by Soviet filmmaker Lev Kuleshov in the 1910-1920s. It is a phenomenon by which the viewers derive more meaning from the interaction of two sequential shots than from a single shot in isolation. I don't know what that means, though.
So he
There's
did
an
the.
example on the Wikipedia, but I feel like we'd need to see it.
So he's the grandfather of the montage.
Grampy Montage.
The more
That's
we
what
see,
it
the
is.
better.
I like
That's
this
what- yeah.
film school.
It's like if there was a shot of like a balloon, and then you saw a shot of somebody like with an arrow and bow and arrow, like loosing it. You would assume that they were loosing it at the balloon.
At the balloon.
Or just two unrelated shots.
Gotcha. That's cool.
Yeah, there you go. We're learning.
We
I'm
did.
sure that guy figured out how to line up eye lines.
Yeah,
Just saying.
yeah,
You haven't
check
even
out
seen the
some of his
commercial yet.
movies.
Though,
I believe it.
James, tell us your story. What's
Okay,
going
my
on?
story. I'm going for a real story, and there hasn't been too many lately, unless you want me to dive you into Valheim, and I can tell you about the giant elk I killed with my buddies. But this is a real story from a couple months ago. I've been trying to do more good deeds to other people, at least once a day. Do something good for someone else. When you see someone else, which isn't as frequently nowadays. But I went to Dunkin' Donuts, and it's my new daily walk is I go to Dunkin' Donuts just to make sure I get out of the house, get myself a nice large iced coffee, black caramel swirl. Dunkin' Donuts, if you're listening. They won't tweet at me.
They're not Dunkin' Donuts anymore. They're just Dunkin' now.
You're right. The donuts are pretty bad there. They don't keep up.
They've rebranded to Dunkin'.
I know. That's
so
awesome.
Weird. That's so weird.
It's
They just
weird.
took off the donuts.
Yeah.
Not
I
just
mean, they
donuts.
should, honestly.
They have all sorts of stuff. They have sandwiches now. They want to be a lunch destination.
Good for them.
I mean,
they have Beyond Meat.
wow. Do they?
I think, yeah. But I go on the Dunkin' Donuts, my new regular Dunkin' Donuts. I walk in, and there's an older man in front of me having his phone out because he just downloaded the app, and he's trying to. The cashier's very nice. She's explaining to him they're doing a deal that if you have the app, you can on Wednesdays you get a free medium coffee. And so he's like, I got the app, I did it, and they're figuring it out. And she's like, oh, you need to add a card to the app in order for it to work. And he's like, no, why would I do that? I have the app. It should be a free coffee. Why do I have to? And she's like, it only works if you time this. And they were back and forth, and you could see like, you know, he's figuring out technology. I live with my grandfather, so I know there's a big technology jump. So he's trying to figure out, and I know this is kind of important to him, the fact he actually downloaded the app. And then I could hear in his voice him getting like more and more frustrated, like with the situation, and like working years of retail. I could see that, first off, awesome that she's helping him. Most of the people in retail, just like they don't give a, they hate the job. They're not going to help someone else. So she's like, very nice. And I'm like, this is great. But then I hear that frustration building, and I'm like, yo, he's one like moment away from kind of doing the snap. And then he kind of got like fed up, and he's like, well, I guess I'm not going to have a coffee. And you could tell like she wasn't backing down about giving it to free, but not in a rude way.
Guy a fucking coffee, right?
Yeah. At the same time, this is like a younger girl, so I don't know the company policy and how scared. Like, oh, give it away. But yeah, give him a coffee. But anyways, he explained the whole free thing, and I was like, well, I was gonna buy a coffee anyways, and now I can use the app to just get the free one. I'm like, hey, let me buy you the coffee. And I was like, I told the guy I'll buy him coffee, and he just he's like, you do that? Thank you so much. Like, he got so excited. Like, even the cashier, because like she never got frustrated at all. Like, she was like, thank you. That's awesome. And I'm like, guys, it's $2.50, and plus I'm getting a free one now that you taught me about this app. So I'm like, I got like not a big deal. Like, thank you so much. And I think it was like the day after the election, like results aren't in, and he's like, this the way the world, like, thank you, like this means the world, like. And then he's like, God bless America. And I don't mean it. And I was like, what? Okay. It's a little weird, but he's that.
I say it all the time. I say it
What
all
is
the
it like to say when you don't mean it?
Yeah, but it's like,
That's
well, you
weird.
say it a bunch, but you don't mean it. But there was a mother and her children behind him too, and he's like talking like, this is great, this is awesome. It's like the election day too, like, wow, like this is huge. And he's like, it means a lot to me. So he leaves and he's smiling. The mother and the children, she's like, that was a nice thing he did, like, do that, because I'm like, oh, cool example. But and then like when I was leaving, he was like, thank you, neighbor. I was like, oh, cool. But it was a cool feeling, just like it amped me up and like got me more motivated, because around that time, like everybody does, I was like in another mental slump, and like I was like, I don't know, but like it amped me up, and I was like, I wish I could just do more good things for people. And it was one of those times where it was cool to see that you do a good deed, and that's the guy who's going to spread that smile and like talk about it and put other people in a good mood. And he was just like, you could tell he was like one step away from being that retail nightmare of someone getting frustrated and leaving and just ruining everybody's day. Like cashier, like, oh, I'm pissed off that guy. And that guy, like, I don't get my free coffee, I'm pissed off. And I was like, ugh, but it was cool. And it just like, it like picked me up for like a week. I was like, hell yeah, let's do good things.
Yeah, you totally get a dopamine rush from doing good. I mean, that's the truth, right? It's like they say that this is just something I heard, by the way. So if it's not true, I'm just going to put it out there. If there's any Mother Teresa fans, don't get at me. But apparently, like she was like a huge. Like kind of like look at me, like one of the reasons that she spent so much time around like lepers and whatever is like she apparently like really like got off on the fact that she was helping. Mm-hmm. Like Mother Teresa wasn't like the saint that like people say that she was, or she was, but she did it for like really selfish reasons. which is like, who gives a shit, right? As long
Yeah.
as you're doing it, I don't care what you're, you know, you're like, oh, I'll own him by doing good. And you're like,
I did get a benefit. That cashier now remembers my order, so when I go in, I do it. And today, this other kid that works there, he put in my order on the register before I had to ask. Oh, it's very nice.
yeah. She also suffered that some people just need to suffer, Mother Teresa. So she was not great.
She must have been talking about me, I guess.
Specifically, Alyssa. She mentioned you by name, which was weird.
Yeah. It's like Alyssa Dookhi must suffer.
Like this,
That
we're
was
just
in
shitting.
1994.
We're just shitting on Mother Teresa now.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
I mean, it's the you know, the colonial missionary thing is so creepy to me. I don't know. I'm Southwest Asian though, so I'm like, I don't know. That's weird. Get out. Go home.
There is something a little weird about like, well, how to say this? Like, there's a lot of suffering all over, and one could say in your neighborhood or state. So it's like you don't really have to go like super far to like be helpful if one is being helpful. So it's a thing to think about.
Very easy to get involved with the Cambridge Food Bank if anybody needs to. Just give them a call. You can look it up online. Go down a couple days a week and just help them out. It's you just walk in and you're like, what can I do? So
And then post about it on Instagram immediately.
yeah, immediately. Hashtag yourself, feeling good, looking good.
Gotta get that clout.
Wow, all important.
Honestly, that'd be a good tie-in for Too Much Bread. TMB Studios goes to the food bank.
We had too much bread, so we gave some away.
Oh boy,
It's actually cute.
that it writes itself.
Nice, James. I love that story, and I love the idea of the cynical part of me is like, of course they wanted his credit card because they don't give anything out for free. Like all those apps, they just are collecting information. So you have to give them some information.
Yeah, but that's on the company, not like the cashier or the guy.
Poor girl is just
I'm not
trying to-
defending Duncan's.
Far be it from me.
DJ, you defending Duncan? You want a job with that? Because like you can speak to them as well if you'd like.
I'm a Starbucks man myself. Get that folks out of here.
He's making so much money. He's the only one making
Yeah, he's the only one that has sponsorships, and we're all just losing
Amazon,
money.
Starbucks.
Wait,
That's why he hasn't
Brand
stopped
is
smiling
real.
the whole time
I
because
know,
he's
he's
just
just
watching
like,
his bank account on the other tab.
Did you get Ghanaian Angel off as well? Is that what was happening?
Alyssa, what's going on?
What's going on? I'm having a time, guys. I mean, I'm sure we all are. Listen, I'm not alone. But I've been unemployed working in a restaurant. I don't want to fucking do that anymore because you see the worst in people, and I've had it. So I've been looking for all these new jobs, and I found a great opportunity that I thought was really cool, working at an imaginary casino. What is an imaginary casino, you ask? So basically what it is they get very attractive 20-somethings and bartenders on the verge of decrepitude to work at a big office building, and they put you in a studio and you gamble to stepfathers. And that's what you do. I just sit in a studio and I play a dealer live to people gambling with their real money online. Fantastic. Perfect pandemic-proof job. And I'm hired with the HR lady's name. We'll call her Samantha. Samantha's like, hey, Alyssa, everything looks cool. We love bartenders. You don't need any skills to do this job. All we need is for you to take a drug test. And I said yes, but also no. So let me tell you, this is a very good student. Will not pass this test. So I was like, how am I going to pass this drug test for Samantha? I thought about getting somebody else's pee. I really had an issue with carrying somebody else's pee on my body. So I nixed that. I didn't really want to ask another friend for their pee. Also, all of my friends' pee would not pass the test. So I ended up getting one of those cleanses. You go to GNC and you get the big cleanse, and you're supposed to drink it, and you're supposed to stay super duper hydrated. And they say, do be careful because you are cleaning your body out. I'm like, all right, cool. So I drink the stuff the morning of. It says you have 5 hours for the stuff to kick in. I'm like, okay, great. I sit down on the couch and I'm drinking my water, and I do the thing that I do every morning, which is fart. Except this time I shit myself. A hot stream of everything, every drug that was ever in my body poured out of my ass, and I had to then clean myself up so I could. I'm sorry. You weren't ready for this. I should have given you a poop warning, but I had to clean myself up and then go take this drug test.
I thought it was heading right to pee, to be honest. Like,
No,
I knew it was heading
completely
one of the two, and I just guessed the wrong one.
No, it was definitely. I really. Everybody's saying, "Oh no," in the chat. Yeah, I know. I shit myself. Had to clean myself up and then go pee in a cup, and had to also try not to shit in the toilet because they look in the toilet. So I had to not shit again, and I really had to at the place. And I was like, "Please do not let me shit myself at the thing." And so that's cool. And I do the drug test, and I'm like, okay, that's done. They're like, we get to training right away. So I go in, and I'm learning how to deal cards. I'm sitting in front of a little computer. It teaches you everything. And then I get my results, and they're like, so you failed this drug test. And I was like, but I shit all the drugs out. They're like, no, apparently you did not. So I went through all of that, and I didn't pass the drug test. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call these people, and I'm going to tell them that don't waste your time. First of all, I don't feel like going into work. Don't waste your time. I didn't pass the drug test. So I call them, and I'm like, hey, so I got the results from the test, but it's like recorded. So I'm like, and I don't know if you want me to come in today, if you know what I'm saying. I'm like acting like I'm calling the drug dealer. I'm like, I had a slight, I'm just like being real weird about it. And they're like, yeah, of course, come in today. Like that. I'm like, they didn't get it. So I keep training to be a fucking imaginary casino dealer. The story's almost, I'm still training to be a casino dealer. And then one day they call me and they're like, Alyssa, we just got the results of your drug test and you're full of drugs. And I was like, yeah. You hired a bartender who's been out of work in the middle of the pandemic for a fake job. What are you talking about? Of course I'm on drugs. And they were like, oh, well, and now I understand the voicemail you left. And I'm like, Samantha, like, what's up? Like,
you gave so many clues.
I gave so many clues. You know what I mean? I was high when I gave the clues. That's probably why they weren't very good. So I don't go back to the imaginary casino, and I'm very depressed because I'm unemployed again. It pays very well. If you guys ever want to work at an imaginary casino, just pass the test. It's a good job. But a couple weeks.
Sorry. Please continue your story.
No, please. What's the question?
My question was Samantha, because without incriminating myself too much on live internet, I've had to do the same thing at a job, and I basically said to my Samantha, I was like, hey, I'm not going to pass this test right now. And she was like, cool. She was like, cool, sign the thing. Will you be cool in 3 weeks? And I was like, probably. And she was like, all right, let's set it up for then. Like, she wanted me to pass. Like, she was all about working with me. She's like, everybody smokes weed, right? Like, so she was just like, what do we need to do to get you to pass? Do you think Samantha was cool?
Samantha was pretty cool because she eventually was like, she was like, well, if in 3 months you think you could pass the test, you can reapply. And, you'll still, in theory, have the same chance of getting this job again, despite the fact that we know how much drugs you had in your body, that you shit yourself and it still didn't come out. And I was like, yes. Thank you so much, Samantha. So, so she was all right about it. In theory, I could reapply for this job and go back. But a couple weeks later, I get a text and it says, hi, this is Samantha. I'm really sad you're not at the imaginary casino anymore, but I wondered if you wanted to go out for margarita date with me. Ooh. And I was like, oh, what? Did I just get asked out on a date by the person who fired me because I was so full of drugs I couldn't shit them out. And I was like, this is crazy. So I run to my boyfriend and I'm like, can you please read this? Yes, I know. I was like, can you please read this text message and tell me if Samantha wants to fuck? And he was like, I think Samantha wants to fuck. And I showed it to everybody. I know, it's a twist. Oh my God. And I was like, dude, I think Samantha wants to fuck. I told all my friends. I told all my coworkers at the bar that I used to work at. I was like, yo, I think Samantha wants to fuck. And everyone's like, yes. So I'm shooting myself right now for your entertainment. Okay. So I'm like, okay. I took a night and I crafted the perfect text back. And I was like, hey, listen, I really appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. I do have a partner, but if you just wanted to like chill as friends, that would be cool too. And I was like, wow, I really fucking nailed that. My boyfriend was like, yeah, you really nailed that. Good job. I get a text later and I realized that there was somebody else named Samantha in the training class who we talked about how much we love margaritas, and she just wanted to be my friend. She's a grandmother, and she just wanted to hang out. And I asked her if she wanted to fuck me.
This story just keeps.
Yeah. Wow.
Wait, maybe the grandmother did want to fuck you still.
She said no. So
She rejected us.
I mean, I would. Samantha, you're so pretty.
It's like an Inception Tenet level story. So many layers.
It was amazing. Living it was. Else.
Can I
Forward
ask
and
you,
backwards.
is Imaginary Casino your name for it? Because for legal reasons we don't want to talk about it, because it's such a great fucking name. I want to work for the Imaginary Casino.
I think we should just, I mean, I worked there for 2 days, so if we want to steal all of the ideas and open it as Imaginary Casino, that would be great.
Such a great name.
That's what I called it. I was like, I work at an Imaginary Casino.
So you can gamble real money at the Imaginary Casino?
Yeah. So like FanDuel, so it's the company that FanDuel contracts, and you go on there and there's somebody, and right now they're all in masks and a little black dress or a bow tie, and they're like, hi, welcome to Imaginary Casino, bam, 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 and you put your money down and you gamble, and it's very fun. I enjoyed it.
Sumeet's gonna do it. He's a big gambler.
I'm gonna be there. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, call me.
I'll see you there.
Go.
Okay. Cool.
I also feel like, you were very cordial with the Samantha you thought it was, because if that was me, I would have been like, you didn't help me pass my test. You're not getting any of this, right?
I thought it would help me get the job again. I was like, well, maybe if I need the job again, if we're fucking, like, I definitely.
Yeah, well, maybe she'll smudge that test for you.
Right. She'll pee in the cup for me or something. You know what I mean? If we're
There
that
you
close,
go.
like
Something. Oh well, c'est la vie. It was not to be.
no. So I don't work at a casino right now.
Or have drinks with the 60-year-old grandma.
No.
Either
She hit
way.
me up today. That's what I thought about it. She hit me up today. She's taking my stand-up workshop.
Hell yeah. Here's a tip, maybe. I don't know if you want it, but I have a friend who's in your situation, and I ran into her, and I hadn't talked to her for a couple weeks, and I was like, hey, how's the restaurant business? And she's like, I don't do that anymore. She's like, I sell weed now at a dispensary, and it's awesome. People love buying weed. It's such an easy job. And so maybe look into that.
That is a job I would want. I'm very interested in the product. And
yeah, I don't think you need to pass a test that everybody is constantly high at a dispensary. So I think maybe you need to pass a test to show that you are high.
I bet that their job applications are like way oversaturated though. Do you know what I mean? Like I would hope that, sometimes putting comedian on your job, they'll be like, oh, interesting. I also think that like a weed store is not one where I would hire a comedian. I would be like, actually, we want you to shut the fuck up.
No, I would look more for if you've done like a lot of food service, so they are hiring a lot of people from the restaurant industry because you're good service industry and you're good talking to people and you're good talking about something the way like you talk about. They talk about weed the way people talk about food at fancy restaurants. You know what I mean? And so if you can do that, they love that.
I can do that.
Yeah. So good luck with that.
Thanks.
Hopefully we just got your job. Somehow.
Everybody's hiring. I have some skills.
Specific set of skills.
You can put them down. You can kill them.
I can roll them up and smoke them. Those are my skills.
Rachel, last but not least, what's going on?
Not much. I will say that I had a premonition that I would be the last story, so I wanted to keep it light. I thought it would be fun to end light because everything is so bad. So I chose for my story the only story that I read this week that did make me want to drink gasoline, and I'm going to tell you what it was. So in the zoo, they have these lemurs. Can I share the screen? Because I think the pictures are important. I'm going to share the screen. Am I sharing it?
No.
Not yet.
No, not yet. There we go.
This is my favorite episode, The Joy of Posting.
Yep, there it is.
So the mature red-bellied lemur seeks soulmate for cuddles and grooming. At the Duke Lemur Center, an innovative plan to keep the animals socialite in life, pair them with lemurs of another species. So in nature, these two types of lemurs would never hang out. But lemurs are a notoriously social animal. And in centers and in zoos, they live much longer than they do in the wild. And they also have many fewer lemurs to hang out with. So there is a plan to pair up elderly lemurs with elderly lemurs of a different species so that they have companionship in their old age. I'm going to show you some of those lemurs now. You see Shiyan left, and she's a red-bellied. She's a crown lemur. You see these old couple, fiery, red-fronted lemur and Frigga, a common brown lemur. Oh, and here's some more elderly lemurs.
Oh my God, that bottom right lemur is such an ugly lemur. I love it so much.
They're not ugly, they're just old.
Oh my God, it looks like a wet cat.
Shut the fuck up, Ben.
I love it. I love it.
So they're like, we try to introduce the lemurs to each other, and we try to find partners who'll get along. Not all the lemurs get along with each other. Sometimes the lemurs are mean to each other and they have to break them up again. But their goal is to get them in their old age companion lemurs they can hang out with, who can help them with their grooming, because oftentimes their eyesight will fail and they can't groom themselves as well as usual. So it's good to have a companion to help them groom, and otherwise just snuggle and stay warm and enjoy their senior years.
Go to the top one again, the top left one. One more up. Sorry, that looks like a chicken, doesn't it? Like,
Ben, shut the fuck up.
I don't mean in a bad way, but it's got little claws. It's so cute.
So cute. The bottom row, the second row, it has the same energy of like Paris Hilton and Lindsay Lohan on a night out, like, and the paparazzi just got them.
These two.
Yeah.
I love a good ring-tailed lemur. Good zaboomapoo right there.
Yeah,
How many species of lemur are there?
that's a great question. Let's find out.
A lot. I didn't know that.
There's at least 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah, at least 6.
How many species?
Yeah, I remember when John Cleese got bit by a lemur. He's part of the celebrity people who got bit by animals, like Sharon Stone's husband, who got bit by a kimono dragon.
Wow. As you see, there's 100 existing species.
100 species of lemur.
Seems like too many. We
Well,
don't need that many.
that's so much.
I think we could edit that down.
Or we could make more.
I think I stopped sharing, but I just thought it was really important, that visual element. I just think it's cute that they're just like these lemurs are sad, they're old, they're sad. This is unnatural to them. They're very social animals. We gotta hook them up with each other.
I love that. They should do cross species, even like not just species of lemur, but cross they should throw like a rhinoceros in there. Yeah, cross animals all together. As long as they wouldn't eat them, it would have to be like herbivores all hanging out, but they should hang out. Even if they didn't hang out in nature, I wonder whether they would like each other.
That's some real the Bible for kids type stuff, like a bear hanging out with a tiger, etc. It's like this is what I remember.
I will say that if you ever are on YouTube, and who isn't nowadays, Unlikely Animal Friends always real good
Yeah.
speech.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Unlikely
stuff.
Animal Friends is always good stuff. Always.
I like a good baby animal, and by good I mean most baby animals.
Yeah.
Because some are terrifying, but for the
Piles
most
of
part,
them
adorable.
are good.
What are Alyssa?
Yeah.
Piles of baby animals, like when there's lots in one.
I thought you
I
said
just
whale
read
was
that-
good.
Sorry, I
That's a
just read that baby mice can distinguish their mother from other mothers. They have a different mouse call. I've been
Aw.
working with mice for so long, and I didn't know that. Yeah,
Collecting their eyeballs, right? That's what you do.
yeah. But when they're alive, they can distinguish their moms from.
When they have eyes, they know which one she is.
Yeah.
Even without eyes, they can tell. They can tell.
It's really a smell thing, so they don't even need the eyes. So I'm not doing
Oh boy.
that much harm.
They call it pre-Sumeet.
I wonder if most animals whose parents stick around probably have a way of differentiating that. I'm making that up, but I would assume that like if the parent
Probably.
sticks around, they would want their kid to know who they were.
Yeah,
I'm picturing little punk
Mammals.
rats smoking cigarettes, like my mom did.
I don't need you anymore.
Leather jacket.
I'm an
I think
adult.
elephants are like that. Elephants stay with their like parents until like they die, and they stay.
Don't
with,
they
like,
also
their family
bury
dog.
themselves?
Themselves. Is
Yeah,
Or like
while they're
elephant
alive, it's crazy.
funerals.
shovel them in.
No, each other after they've passed.
Okay.
They have little like funerals, and they like mourn,
Yeah.
and they're
I just found out
Man.
that
It's like an
elephants
elephant
have
graveyard.
rituals with cycles of the moon.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. So during different like lunar, like during the new moon, they've been observed like I'm not going to get this right, but they've been at one time observed like raising their trunks and hollering at the sky, and then they do another thing during the full
Prayer
moon. You guys
meetings.
got to look this up. You know, we do the lunar calendar, and crows do too. Crows, everybody knows crows are the best, right? Crows and ravens, corvids.
So what you said is
Yes.
elephants are witches.
Elephants are witches or Muslims, which don't know anybody after that, but we do stuff by the moon too. We get up and we lift our trunks and we holler at the sky. Same thing.
I mean, it might be like how in Avatar: The Last Airbender they got powers from, you know, certain animals, but in The Legend of Korra, it was like the giant sea turtles gave them the power. So maybe like something like that, but in our plane of existence. Sorry, that was mostly for me and Rachel.
I thought you were going to talk about the blood bending myself.
I was just
It
really,
didn't fit. It didn't fit, so I couldn't make it work.
I like sea turtles, so it's fine.
I was just curious to see if that sentence was going to end with confidence or with like self-abashment.
Did you like the way it ended? Thank you, Cozy. Thank you, Tina.
Yeah, this is a really cool fact that I like about crows too. Like, if you give them food, they'll bring you presents. Like, they'll start bringing you little buttons or berries and things they find. It's really cool, and every day they'll like bring you something. I'm
I
sure
don't
it's,
need crow presents.
you got the
Is that an
lemur.
endorsement you want?
Nah, me and the elephants are going to be all right.
Yeah.
The converse of that is, I think there was a story I read where there were these researchers who were researching the crows, and then they let the crows go, and the crows would like harass these grad students for the rest of their time at college because they recognized that they were the researchers working on them. So the crows had like an they had like they were
The vendetta, yeah.
a vendetta against these college
Wow,
grad students.
That's
what a
hilarious.
nightmare.
These crows hate me.
Yeah,
It's like the birds come to life.
yeah, totally.
Terrifying. Maybe that's what happens in like the birds. Somebody was experimenting on birds, and they're like, "You're the descendant of that person. We're gonna get you."
I mean, how many people have a nemesis, let alone 5 birds that hate you?
Yeah, you have to have done a lot, right?
And like, I don't know how y'all feel about them, but birds, like, They're beautiful creatures. I really like them. They're scary as heck. Like my friend had a parrot, and that parrot was terrifying. And it would menace you. It would like bully you. It would know. Yeah, and it would come up and like puff it up at you and like laugh when you like. It would think it was funny when you would get scared, right? And then it would snap in the air.
Ben, did you see the video of the parrot that sings "Stairway to Heaven"?
What?
Wait, what?
I'll send it to you guys. There's a video of a parrot that sings "Stairway to Heaven" like
Matt, please find that right now.
Perfectly. A guy's playing acoustic. Oh, so good. Anyways.
Oh my god.
Are there birds that like perfectly mimic the sounds of like they're like David Attenborough had birds that like did construction equipment. They sounded like
they did echo sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Minor birds, maybe?
Yeah, probably minor birds.
Yeah, but that would be the worst. Wait, here we go.
Yes! Yes!
What is happening?
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my
that
god.
A lot. This is a lot to endure.
My heart is so full.
Oh yeah, I don't know if we can top that. That's a great place to end the show. What a show! Yeah.
Just wait till you see this elephant that does the same.
Oh wow! Just think, dinosaurs were basically just giant birds, right?
That's true.
That's
Yeah,
canon.
they were
That's
covered with
science.
feathers. They were covered with feathers. Dinosaurs.
Yep.
Do you think
My
the Tyrannosaurus Rex also sang?
Yeah, the T Rexes did flop.
I just imagine it's opening its mouth to sing, and then just like a bunch of like bugs flying because its mouth is so big.
Yeah, it needs like a bug trap. Something.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I want to thank all my guests for being here tonight. BJ, Sumeet, Shiyan, James, Alyssa, and Rachel. I want to thank Matt for hanging out with us as well. I want to thank all of you for watching and for, just being great companions tonight. If you dug what you saw, go ahead and hit that follow button or subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. 2MB Studios has over 20 shows a week, 7 days a week. And, throw us some of those Bezos bucks to help keep it going. And that would be pretty sweet. Like I said, everybody, one more time, let's go through real quick and let everybody know where they can see you again. BJ,
you can do BJ Jeranyama over there. Watch Whatever It Takes this Friday. Our theme is vampires.
Yeah. Sumeet.
We don't have Level Down this week, but Knights of Prospect on Saturday.
Sweet. Shiyan.
Oh, just watch any 2MB show. You'll see my spirit, and I'll be in the chat probably. You can say hello.
Love that. James.
At James Maloney for the socials, and my Twitch is twitch.tv/the James Station.
What are you playing lately, James?
Let's see. I was doing a lot of League of Legends, the most toxic game in the internet, in the world, but I stopped streaming a couple weeks ago. I need to get back into it. I've been playing Valheim right now, being Vikings. Oh, it's all about the RP with my buddies, baby. All about
If anybody
that.
wants to watch some Viking Adventure, check out James's Twitch. Alyssa, what are you up to?
You can follow me here. I'm the Dukeness all over. If you like storytelling, yeah, I work for First Person Arts. Tell a story for us, and don't shit your pants.
Great advice. And Rachel, what do you? Where can people see you?
You can see me tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm hosting my show, The Joy of Posting.
Fantastic. And you can check me out next Monday night, 9 p.m. on a little game show called Run On Monday nights. And again, at this show, Tuesday night at 9 p.m. I got the 9 p.m. hour locked down. Thanks once again for everybody on the show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.